Cyrene was confirmed for 3.7, and what I have done is dug up any info and rumors we do have on what she potentially might do. And I have found some few things. Jumping straight into it, I do want to have a disclaimer that this is stuff that I just dug up, and obviously like the beta and such hasn't started, so take everything here with a grain of salt. Since, of course, without the actual beta starting and that info being shown, we won't be able to fully tell what she does. This is just parts I dug up. So once again, I recommend taking this all with a grain of salt. She could end up doing a lot of these. She could end up doing exactly what I'm going to list here. Or some stuff could be tweaked or could be completely different. So best thing you could do is to wait. So one of the things I found is regarding her quote-unquote memo sprite, and the fact that her memo sprite actually might be herself. So she herself might be the one considered memo sprite. I don't really know if that affects gameplay too much, except for the fact that she might be a remembrance character with a memo sprite, but actually not with a memo sprite on the field. That might not count. And what I mean by that is if she gets buffs from being considered memo sprites, so someone like Evernight, like her buff to memo sprites still would apply to her. But she wouldn't be someone considered with the memo sprite, so you know Aglia has a memo sprite on the field, Hyacinth has a memo sprite on the field, they really count as two characters. Potentially, that could mean that there's just going to be her, but she is considered a memo sprite on the field. That's really the only thing I can think of for what that means. Otherwise, it's going to be her, and maybe she's considered two, I don't know. But supposedly that her memo sprite is seeming to be considered herself. She also does seem like she's going to be the next broken support. So what I mean by that is going to be the usual generalist support that excels in a certain team. Just like how Robin is a general support, but actually excels in follow-up attack. Tribby excels in AoE, but is generalist. Ronmei excels everywhere else, but also break mainly. The current expectation for where Cyrene is going to be excelling is Chrysos Hair teams, specifically Castra's in mind. So that's the main back and forth, is we feel like she's going to be a support that works anywhere, primarily works with Chrysos Hairs, but works best with Castra's teams. We're not too sure if the specialist is going to be overall equal for all Chrysos Hairs, or it's going to be good for everyone and the Castra specifically. Most people do lean onto the Castra specific one. So she's probably going to provide, you know, maybe unique buffs that are really good for these Chrysos Hairs and also really tailored towards Castra specifically. Or she could have unique buffs that go towards different Chrysos Hairs, but Castras might get the best out of them. She was also originally supposed to have a territory just like Castras and Phynon, but it seems like that early stuff was actually removed, so she seems to no longer actually have a territory that is used. And if you wonder why, yes, territory would be really good for the general supports, so anyone outside of Castras and Phynon, but the reason they would remove it is to have confliction with two of the most popular hairs being Castras and Phynon. If she had a territory, Phynon couldn't use his territory effectively, the Castras territory couldn't be effectively used, just because you can't have two territories at once. So my guess is they removed it just because it would have confliction with those two. As I mentioned, they are the two most popular hairs and want to be showed the most. Unfortunately, that doesn't gut the other hairs a little bit because they don't have territory, so a territory could benefit Aglia, Anoxa, Cyber, Hyacinth, and so on, outside of any Phynon and Castras related team, but it seems like they just went with the route to just remove it so she can also work really good with Phynon and Castras. Rumors don't actually say what the Chrysos Hair synergy would be, but I personally do think it's going to be personalized exclusive buffs that could potentially change on the actual Chrysos Hair you are buffing. I know I'm not the only one that does think this. This is actually kind of a common opinion, and actually a common hope because it would be really cool. So for example, if you're running her with someone like Aglia, the buff she provides might be stated to be speed or even base speed for Aglia, because you know Aglia loves speed. Buffs could be HP or defense ignore related for someone like Mide or Castras, as both of them would love to do more damage based off more HP and also love some defense ignore. Could also be HP speed related for someone like Hyacinth, as all these characters do have great benefits from HP, and again, as I mentioned, defense ignore, and then Hyacinth specifically, more speed is also very much welcomed. I actually couldn't really think of anything for Cypher specifically. It's probably the general rare buffs. On her teams, defense ignore isn't really a problem because you have so much shred and other characters might provide ignore, so with that, it's not really a problem. Probably would be something speed related as well. For Phynon exclusively, I do think it's going to be stuff like defense ignore, res pen, base speed, that kind of stuff. Base speed would arguably be the biggest just because we wish someone like Cerebro proc that, just because that can further amplify the speed of the actual extra turns and doesn't completely gut it if you don't have Lycon or E2 or something. And Phyton is obviously saturated on common buffs, so stuff like Res Pen and Defense Ignore is great for him. I have no idea what someone like Hyacine or Cyrene would get either. Probably speed and maybe even attack for Hyacine, but attack really isn't big of an issue on that team especially. Cyrene, I can also see it being attacked just because it can further amplify her own buff, so that might be a thing. Anoxa could get Res Pen and attack because Res Pen is really nice on Anoxa. He doesn't need Defense Ignore on his teams as he already has so much. Attack would also be really good because majority of Anoxas have a very attack-deprived build. Even with the help of Cyrene, Robin, and stuff like that, he could still get more attack to be stronger. So I could see attack-related buffs and also especially Res Pen buffs for them. And the generalist buffs for, teams outside of that could be anything. Like, could be like tribute level buffs where it's all-type Res Pen still. Additional damage. She might even provide true damage because, if she's going to be a generalist support, I can see her being the new best one, especially with how popular she is. So for generalist buffs, I think it's going to be stuff that does, make her work everywhere, similar to Tribi, where it could be more damage, Res Pen, some form of rare buffs, and maybe even true damage access. The closest we have to a generalist support that gives true damage is RMC, but that's also because we only have 2 characters that enable true damage anyways. I can eventually see us getting a character that provides true damage in the base kit as a buff to enable. Like, again, the general support's already Robin. She doesn't provide all-type Res Pen. She provides attack, damage, some crit that's relatively negligible. Could provide all-type Res Pen thanks to her E1. Ron May has provided all-type Res Pen. She's provided a damage increase and also speed, while also being able to provide Defense Ignore with her early Eidolon. Tribi was able to provide very unique buffs that benefited a lot of teams with all-type Res Pen in her base kit, the additional damage she provides, and also makes enemies take more damage, while also being a good damage dealer herself to add up to more damage throughout the battle. And she was the only other character that enabled true damage with her E1, so it is still idle unlocked, and we don't have anyone that does it in their base kit except RMC. So if they were going to give the ability to give true damage access in a base kit, I can definitely see it being Cyrene, just because of how popular she's going to be, and how popular and anticipated she is. So that does practically wrap up all the info we do know. Personally, I do hope we get a Crisis Hair related support, because I think that is going to be cool, because imagine how cool it would be to have a generalist support that also does really good and excels with Crisis Hairs. That makes her universal outside of teams and also extremely universal inside the teams, because you can put her on your Caster's team, your Phyton team, your Noxa team, your Aglia team, so on. So personally, I really do hope it's going to be these kind of exclusive buffs that's going to be very well synergizing to these Crisis Hairs. There is a chance that maybe it is like that, but they don't get the craziest buff. Or it could also be like one of them gets shafted. Like, what if they give Phyton more attack and crit? That would be so unbelievably tragic. So yeah, I do personally hope that her buffs are going to be really good, and she does have the niche of excelling in Crisis Hair teams. I probably do expect her to be more on the castress side though, because I don't know, something about that team they want to push more than anyone else. Let me know if you guys would be excited for a support like this. I could definitely see her being T0 support across the board. Once again, do take this with a grain of salt because, again, this is just info I dug up and the beta stuff hasn't started. This is what most people assume she's going to do, and even though they could be reliable on this info, could be tweak some of it, she could do exactly this stuff as well, or it could be completely different. So it's best to wait a little while before you do take this into your considerations. I'm just here to relay info that I did dig up that is worth considering at the least. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But again, let me know if you guys would be hyped for a character like this. And yep, feel free to discuss in the comments. If you found this video helpful, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. And also subscribing and turn the bell icon for future videos like this along with all the tips and star content. And I'll see you later. Peace out.